Plotting a Fantasy Novel. Written by Tasha Dunn. Narrated by Nikki Martinez. Plotting a Fantasy Novel. Introduction. A lot of people may not believe in magic, but I do. In fact, I always have, ever since I was a child. I grew up in a typical family, with parents, siblings, and a pet. I was the youngest of 4 siblings, and my childhood was flamboyant and filled with a cornucopia of toys, comic books, and a series of adventures. My siblings and I were often up to no good in the best kind of ways, which I usually got away with, being the youngest and all. But when I was not causing mischief, I was with our pet dog named Tommy. Tommy was my mother's dog, and although everyone in my family loved him and vice versa, he was particularly drawn to me. It was a special bond. Tommy followed me wherever I went, like how the moon follows someone when they are driving in their car at night. And, just like the moon, Tommy brought a light into my life, even in gloomy moments. On one lazy afternoon, I was very bored. My brothers and sisters were occupied with their own deeds, and my friends were nowhere in sight, which left me with no one to play with. I sat in the garden, twiddling my thumbs, pondering on what I could possibly do to while away the time. That is when I decided to do some of my own exploring. I was, after all, alone, which meant I could do whatever I liked without worrying that someone would get bored and want to do something else. I hopped up the stairs, followed by the sound of Tommy yapping in excitement at my heels. Our house was not anything close to a mansion, but it was big enough to host a dog and several playful children. It had plenty of hidden spaces, nooks and crannies that were small enough for the youngest in the family to fit into, as well as vast, open spaces that were lined with bookshelves. Our humble abode was also home to a bunch of prolific readers, and the bookshelves were witnesses, as they contained everything from comic books to classic literature, collections from creative geniuses like Shakespeare and Charles Dickens, scientific journals, and novels of every genre. I traced a hand along the spines of a dozen books, wondering what stories they carried and how many times they had been read. I ended up pulling out a rather old comic book from the archives. Touching it coated my fingers in a layer of fine dust.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?